gentlemen.
You're locked into JJ and Alex. With the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. Presented by G2G Bars. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. It is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Curie, Jeremiah Jensen. Of course, over on 1280, we have our Westwood One coverage of the NCAA tournament. You could tune in there. We'll also play those close games for you. We had a nice little treat of a weird convergence of the Colorado-Florida game, which ended with a Colorado 102, Florida 100 ending. It was awesome. Awesome ending to that one. Not even in overtime, by the way, for the triple digits for both teams. And then another big upset, a 13 over a 4. Your Yale Bulldogs, JJ.
That's right.
Beating Auburn. Real shame to see the SEC go 1-5.
1-5. Their only win by the SEC in this tournament is over the 15-seeded St. Peter's.
Yeah. The St. Peter's
brutal SEC
Peacocks.
run there.
There you go. We're going to go back out to the tournament. By the way, JJ, fresh off the plane from Omaha after BYU's loss in the first round to Duquesne. Stan Farnsworth for KSL 5 Television is in Indianapolis. We chatted with him the first round. Let's go to the other side of this coin. TCU, of course, that 9 seed against the Utah State Aggies tonight, and that's going to be a fun one. Utah State not favored. The TCU Horned Frogs are. Let's go to Ethan Love. Reports for the TCU, covers the Horned Frogs for the Dallas Morning News, the old rag that I used to read as a kid. Ethan, welcome to the program. Thanks for being with us. How's Indy?
Oh, it's fun. Touchdown early this morning, getting acclimated. I've been kind of having to just sit all day. It's a late tip, 9:55 tip for us. So just kind of waiting around. I just got done watching that Colorado-Florida game. It felt like an NBA game with that score. That was a big one.
Not even overtime, but that rattling into that last shot by Colorado. Awesome. I would not.
Yeah, that was.
This is what the NCAA
incredible.
tournament does, though, right? I mean, like, the Pac-12 is performing perfectly so far. The SEC's 1-5 after Auburn just lost to Yale. We don't know how this NCAA tournament's going to go, and yet every year we think we can with the picks. How about this one with the closely seeded 9-seeded Horned Frogs versus the Utah State Aggies, which, of course, here locally everybody pays attention to, especially now that BYU's been knocked out of the tourney.
Yeah, so I really think that you guys have a favorable matchup. Utah State does. I really do. TCU's struggle all season has been down low in the paint, and that's where you guys thrive. So that's where I'm kind of looking at. If you can really get the boards going, our weakness is definitely our centers. Ernest Uday is our starting center. He's a transfer from Kansas. Him and Xavier Cork, our other center, have been pretty mediocre all season. So if there's one area where you can exploit TCU, is definitely down low, and I think that's what Utah State does really well. So I think they definitely have a good shot here tonight.
But then you turn it to another coin, and Jameer Nelson Jr. has been terrific, 12.6 points over the last 10 games, and obviously Emmanuel Miller has been the guy to go to as a scorer on the wing, 15.9 points, 5.9 rebounds per game. With a lack of bigs in this matchup, can these guys carry TCU? How dynamic are these guys in this matchup, and can that be an advantage for the Frogs?
Yeah, so Jameer Nelson, he can just explode at any moment. I remember I was in Waco watching him against Baylor. He had like 4 points in the first half, and then he ended with 30, even though it was a triple overtime game. But still, he just went nuclear, and he can just completely take over a game. And a guy you guys didn't mention, Travion Tennyson, transfer from A&M Corpus Christi down in South Texas. He leads the Big 12 in three-point percentage. If he gets hot, I mean, he can pull up from anywhere on the court and just sink threes all day. He's definitely the Frogs' best shooter, but I would say the guys that can really take over, Jameer Nelson, Travion Tennyson, and you mentioned Emmanuel Miller. He's definitely the Frogs' best all-around player, good at getting rebounds, good from mid-range, and he can even pull from three, too.
Greg Osobor is a guy who Player of the Year in the Mountain West Conference for this team that won the regular season title. They've overperformed, Ethan, like to BYU did the same thing in the Big 12, like just absolutely shocking us here locally that we got to see two teams make such amazing runs, and we get to see TCU play both teams this year. So, but very different styles, obviously. I mean, BYU from the outside, that really hurt the Frogs. But that's not Utah State's game, as you were saying. But Greg Osobor is a challenge. What does he present to the Horned Frogs?
Yeah, I think he's going to be a complete headache all game long. I mentioned down low. I mean, he's averaging, 9 rebounds a game, so they're going to get a lot of second chance points is where we struggle. Ernest Uday and Xavier Court, they're going to have their hands full with him down low, and he's definitely who I'm worried about the most in this game. If the Frogs can contain him, I like their chances, but he's one of those guys where you can't contain, or you can't really stop him. You just have to contain him the best you can because he's going to do good.
This team had some success last year in the NCAA tournament. How much of a factor do you think that could be? Some of these guys on this team enjoyed a first-round win last year against Arizona State.
Yeah, I just think TCU, the best thing is the experience.
Yeah.
Really, the entire starting lineup is seniors. I mean, Chuck O'Bannon is 25 years old and feels like he's been playing college basketball since the 90s. But, yeah, the experience is huge. I think that this is now or never for TCU, for them to actually make a run. They haven't made the Sweet 16 since 1968. And just these last 2 years, they win their first game, and then they hit a wall in the second game. And Jamie Dixon's really going to have to prove himself this year that, hey, I can lead this team past just this 1 point. They got to get over that hump of the round of 32. And it's going to be tough. Even if they win this game, I mean, it's most likely going to be Purdue unless they collapse again like they did last year. But, yeah, I think the experience is going to go a long way. All of these guys are seniors. They have that mentality of like, okay, this is our last ride. Let's go out here and let's leave it all on the floor.
As we break down this game tonight, it's so hard to get so pumped up for these games and then immediately, one of these teams goes home, the first day of them playing. But if TCU does survive this one against Utah State, what's their potential the rest of the way? I think it's just everything's, this is the same thing I think that's happening a little bit with Utah State, where they're like, hey, nothing to lose. This is all gravy from here. We're here, and this is how teams make runs. What are the chances that the Horned Frogs can go deep in this tournament if they start off tonight?
That is a phenomenal question. I feel like I've been watching the same TCU basketball team for the last 3 seasons. They'll do amazing things. Like they beat Houston early in the season. They should have beat Kansas, they were bailed out by the refs. But anyways, they can look like the best team. They can look like the best team in college basketball. I'm like, oh my goodness, this team can win a national championship, or they can go to a Final Four. And then the very next game, they look like they don't even belong in the Big 12. So it's very puzzling. Like the Big 12 tournament, they didn't score against Houston for the first 10 minutes of the game. They were 0 for 16 from the field. So it's moments like that where it's like, it's just so puzzling. You don't know what TCU team you're going to get. But I will say this, when Jamie Dixon has a lot of time to prepare for a matchup, things usually go well. He's usually able to get a good enough game plan in order that will work, and when the guys have a lot of rest to prepare and do what they want to do. So it's going to be tough. Getting past Purdue, I mentioned down low is their struggle, and Zach Edey is the best big in probably college basketball. So it's going to be tough. But if they can somehow get past Purdue, then I think sky's the limit. But the biggest thing is the consistency. They have been inconsistent for the entire time that I've been in college. I'm about to graduate, and like I said, I feel like I've been watching the same team for like 3 seasons.
TCU went 35 years without an NCAA tournament win until Jamie Dixon got there, and now they've won in the last 2 years. Obviously, Jamie Dixon is a name everybody knew and respected. Just how big has it been for TCU to get him to run that program? And this is basically the golden age of TCU basketball.
Oh, it's been awesome. Coach Dixon has been amazing. He's been amazing. And to show just kind of how far they've come, they renovated our arena just not too long ago. I think it was in 2017. I might be off on that, but pretty recently they updated our arena to give it like 5,500 seats, and it's not enough. It's not enough. Ever since the team started doing really good a couple years ago, there's students sitting on the stairs. It's just been great to see, especially with the football run last year. Sports at TCU has been awesome, and Jamie Dixon, he's built consistency. He's shown this past offseason, even when our best player last season, Mike Miles, left, that he can bring in transfers like Travian Tennyson, Jameer Nelson, Avery Anderson, all those guys to come and put a solid product out on the floor. So I think Jamie Dixon's definitely solidified himself. Our athletic director raves about him, so I think he's going to be here for the foreseeable future.
Ethan Love, he covers the TCU Horned Frogs for the Dallas Morning News. He is in Indianapolis covering this game. This is a big one, of course, for both sides. Every NCAA tournament is. We're looking forward to this one. Aggies against Horned Frogs tonight. It's a 1 a.m. tip-off, so get ready for that one. No, it's just 7. It's easy for us, Ethan. It's 7:55 Mountain, man. Like
it's going to feel like 1 a.m. for a lot of us.
No problem. Out east, if you're all the way out east, it's a 10:55 tip, right? That's phenomenal. You're still going to get people watching it. So thanks for your time. Have fun covering it, and we'll be watching this game tonight.
Thank you guys for having me.
There you go, Ethan Love. You say the students are on the sitting on the stairs. I mean, I hate to be the stickler for the rules, but I have. I mean,
Fire Marshal Bill here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I got to call the Fort Worth.
Let me say something.
Again, we grew up in way too similar times. When In Living Color was good. Was good. It was actually when it was just on.
It was always good.
So there you go. I don't know about this one, man. Like
this is a typical 8-9 matchup. Flip a coin. It really is.
Yeah.
We are partial to the Aggies. I think we're biased to the Aggies.
We want to see a run right now. Now BYU's out. We want to see.
Not going to hide that, but
on.
At the same time, I'm having watched the Aggies a lot. The way they play, how dynamic their lineup is, their depth, how good they are in close games. I feel like they have an edge. Like he's saying, this TCU team can play with anybody in the country, and then they can lose to anybody because they're so inconsistent. They finished 10-10 in conference play. In their last 10 games, they're 5-5. It really is a coin flip tonight. It is a coin flip.
It's going to be a night. It's going to be a night. I think that it is. It's the Aggies. I don't know. I just see them. I see them so loose, right? Like,
yeah.
And again, we get to hear all the coverage. Get Scotty G's angles of this thing, and we get to hear the players, and we get to hear Danny Sprinkle, and it just sounds like it's the weirdest thing, JJ. It's a team that we had no clue would have been any good, and then here we are, and then now they're acting like veterans at the NCAA tournament because they've been there.
Yes,
Danny Sprinkle's been there. Greg Osmore's been there. They know what it's like to play in these situations. It's like, look, and the other thing is they go, look, this is a blessing. This is awesome for us to be here, but not good enough for us to just be here. You know what I mean? It's good enough for some of these smaller teams to just be there. Good for you, Stetson. Right?
Sad the Hatters run came to an end today.
Hey, Longwood, probably not going to be the year another 16 beats another one. But you know what? We've seen crazy things. But again, it's not. Those teams are just here for the ride for that one game typically. And the Aggies, man, they got to break that streak. They got to get that monkey off the back and get that win and get it going. We are at JCW's. Hey, we've watched a lot of people roll in here to watch games, but it's also dinner time, JJ. Like, this is when you got to get yourself going here. You're going into the weekend. Get a burger and a shake. Get some fish and chips. They do phenomenal. By the way, cheese fries, but then add the chili.
Absolutely, add the chili.
Add the chili, okay?
There's no reason to not do both.
Well,
and
I'll tell you what happens. It's phenomenal. It's so good.
Alex, I just downed some wings, and they were good.
I told you.
They're not like the tiny little overcooked wings.
No.
These are the legit big size, just perfectly cooked wings.
I will tell you, not to nerd out on the food, but Sean and I were noticing that there's that little sheen of oil drops on top of the sauce because they add the sauce and they put butter in it and they cook it down and then they throw your wings in there and they toss them. Boom. Got it. Okay, we'll take a break. We're, like I said, at JCW's here in Harriman. Come in and high five JJ. Say thanks for making the trip all the way from Omaha just for this show today. And he's doing a heck of a job. All right, we got more to talk about. We've got tons to jump into. Stay with us, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.